Hello, Kidney Warriors! James here from Dadvice TV, your online kidney health coach. And boy, do we have a great show tonight. But first, if you're new, welcome. It's great to have you here. Go ahead, say hello down in the comments. Introduce yourself. We have a great community here. Very positive, supportive, and helpful. And if you are new, let me introduce myself real quick. My name is James. I have kidney disease. I was diagnosed about 2.5 years ago, stage 5. Doctors didn't give me too good of an outlook. They wanted me to look at going on dialysis and getting on a transplant list. But instead, I worked very closely with my doctors, had a little bit of luck, and I focused on my health. I started getting more active. I started eating better, working with renal dietitians to teach me about what really happens when you eat food and why it's not the food itself, but the nutrients that are in there that matter. And I learned about portion control to kind of reduce the burden that I placed on my kidneys. And by doing all that, I improved my overall health, got my blood pressure under control, and my kidney health improved. The last set of labs I had where I had results was stage 3, which is fantastic. More importantly, not a single symptom. Now, I mentioned the last one where I had results. For all of you out there, I just got my little Band-Aid right here. This morning, I went and got brand new fresh labs. Now, I've been avoiding going to the doctor and going to the hospital because of COVID and all that. But I also, this morning, went and got my first shot of my COVID vaccine. I got the Pfizer one, so I'm going back in about 3 weeks, get my second shot, so that I am one step closer to better protecting myself, my kidneys, and the people around me. And I encourage everyone out there to get vaccinated. And I feel fantastic. As a matter of fact, my doctor told me, James, you're probably going to get a little bit of a headache. You might get a little tired feeling for a few days. It's one of the common symptoms. I actually have more energy. I actually feel better a dozen hours after I got my shot, or almost a dozen hours after I got my shot. But I'm going to keep an eye on my health, and I'll be broadcasting live tomorrow night and Thursday night. So you guys can check in and see, hey, how's James doing with his vaccine? I have a feeling I'm going to be doing great. Now, tonight, our topic is, it's a delicious one. Now, for those of you out there that are kind of new, or you have trouble figuring out what to eat on a renal diet, it really does come down to picking the right ingredients, the right amount of them, and doing what you can to reduce some things like protein and sodium and extra phosphorus and potassium, stuff like that. But you can make all sorts of amazing, great, delicious foods that are good for your kidneys. They're not going to throw a whole bunch of extra burden or hurt you. Tonight, we're going to be talking about how to use some products from Flavis. Flavus is a medical food made in Italy. Great product. They have a whole bunch of products. We're going to talk about how to use this right here, their bread mix and a few other things. And we are going to make a delicious, amazing looking apple cinnamon strudel. And this is going to be something that if you haven't had dinner yet, you might want to grab a snack because this is definitely going to make you hungry. Now, to show us how to make it and to talk about Flavus and the products that they make and why they're a good option for those with kidney disease, welcome Megan. Hey Megan, how you doing?
Hi everyone, I'm doing great.
Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background for those that are new and haven't seen you here before.
Yeah, so my name's Meghan Donnelly. I'm a registered dietitian and I work at Dr. Shar USA, which makes Flavus foods. Dr. Shar is actually an Italian company, as James mentioned. We are from the northeastern part of Italy, near the Austrian border, actually. And we've been making food for people with special nutritional needs for about 40 years now. So if you're familiar with the Shar gluten-free brand, that is our company. But then we also have Flavus, which is low protein and really made for kidney disease patients. So it's all Flavus foods are low in protein. They're also low in sodium, potassium, and phosphorus to kind of meet all the different needs that you might have. And as much as possible, we're trying to be high in fiber too. So really, really designed with the kidney disease picture in mind. And I think, as a dietitian, I really care about enjoying food. And so I really, love sharing recipes with everyone because I think it's not that exciting to just show someone a product. It's better to show someone how to use a food and how to work it into their daily routine. So yeah, that's about a little bit about me. I've been working on Flavis brand for almost 3 years now, so it's been a while.
Yep. And during the show, if anyone wants to learn more about Flavus, right there beside Megan is their website, www.flavis.com. And if you want to see all the different Flavus products that are available, the link right below that will take you directly into their catalog of all their products. It's go.dadvicetv.com/food. And some of the cool things that I really like about the Flavus products before we get into this recipe is multiple uses. We actually used this bread mix. We made pancakes with maple syrup. Did we do anything else with this yet?
I don't think we did anything else with this yet, but we've turned the crostini into breadcrumbs. We've turned
Yes.
the bread into different things. You can do a lot. And I think that makes the products, more worth the money because, there's so many uses, and once you learn how they can be used, it makes it a lot more fun and more justifiable for the cost. Yeah.
Yep. And the big thing to me is variety. Being able to
Yeah.
have multiple uses. If I had this bread mix and I wanted to make some pancakes, I could. If I wanted some waffles, I could. The thing we're making today. Now, I did mention earlier, I went and I got my labs. I saw my doctor, and I can't be eating that apple cinnamon strudel that we're going to show today
Yeah.
because my weight just wasn't where it should be. I got that extra COVID-19 big boost. The one you don't want, the big caboose one. So I can't be eating too much of something like that, but it is cool knowing that having these types of kidney-friendly products in my pantry, there's so much I can make. And for a lot of kidney patients, they're afraid to eat, especially when they're brand new and they haven't learned to look at nutrition. And they're worried, oh, I can't have that, I can't have this. And they go online, that's what it says. But really, people, it comes down to, if you make your own food, it's better because then you can make so much more. You can control what goes in it. But it comes down to the nutrition. You may think, uh-oh, I'm stage 4, I'm stage 3. I can't eat something like this. When you guys see the picture, oh my goodness, it's delicious looking. But yeah, you can when you use the right ingredients. And that was one of my fears when I was first diagnosed. What am I going to eat? Of course, I'm worried about dialysis and everything else, but I kind of had some depression. It was like losing a friend when I was going to lose McDonald's and Wendy's and Burger King and big, giant, thick, deep dish pizzas and all those things. I thought all the good food was going to be gone because I had kidney disease, but that's not true. So before we jump in the video, is there anything you want to tell us about what we're making today?
Yeah, so a couple things. So the the Flavis bread mix, first of all, it's a really basic flour mix. And when you kind of look at it, it comes with a yeast packet, and it's definitely there's not much to it. It's really just a flour blend. So you can use it in a lot of flour-based recipes, and I think that a lot of people don't realize that it says bread mix, but it can really be used as just a regular mix. We try to create recipes for the website that reflect that, so that's why you're going to see it with a little bit of a different use today. Um, because it's a plain flour mix, it really doesn't have, from a nutrition perspective, there's not too much you really need to worry about. It's just a really good low protein mix. In terms of the recipe, this is kind of a dessert recipe, so portion control is definitely something to consider here. However, um, we always design recipes with the target audience in mind, right? So it's not going to be in the portions recommended, it's appropriate for a dessert or a sweeter treat. It's just not, this is not something that I would say eat 4 slices a day. But it's definitely, and and if you really taste it, it relies a lot on the natural sweetness of the apples. So I think that you will see it's less sugar than you would think. So
Yeah, and just to kind of give an idea of the bread mix here, a serving of the bread mix has only 5 milligrams of sodium. That is nothing.
yeah.
Just going to the store, there's bread that's 80, 100 milligrams a slice. And
Yeah.
when I was growing up, there were times where I probably did fold a piece of bread over to make a sandwich, but nowadays I'm a big boy. I need 2 slices. That's a lot of sodium right there.
Yeah, and that's really true with a lot of breads. So we have sliced breads and we have rolls that are lower in sodium as well. They're, usually very low in sodium actually. But as far as the bread mix goes, you can use it to make rolls. I made rolls once. They actually turned out great because there is a yeast packet in that box. And so you can you can get on that sourdough bread trend or the make
Ooh.
your own bread trend that was going on at the beginning of COVID, right? Everyone was making their own bread. You can try it. The bread actually comes out really nice. And so, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. There's a basic bread recipe on the box. There's a recipe on our website. But for the most part, um, yeah, the sliced breads that you find in the store are going to be higher in just about they're going to be a lot higher in sodium. They probably will have some added phosphorus or potassium. You won't know how much necessarily. So,
Yep. Well, I am ready to jump into
yeah.
our recipe. And guys, you saw the thumbnail. That's from the video, okay? Walking through making this recipe. This is another great recipe where you're going to make something that you can't believe, at least I wouldn't. I made this and I can eat it with portion control and not have to worry about bombarding my kidneys with lots of sodium or protein or phosphorus or potassium. This is a great one. I was so looking forward to this one because I love desserts. The only thing this one's missing is that icing you usually put on the top. And I know that's
Oh.
just pure melted sugar, which is completely bad for you, and I can live without it. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and start it. There's our Flavus kitchen. And you guys can find a lot of these recipes on their website.
hmm
Look at that. Doesn't that look delicious? Oh, apple and cinnamon strudel.
Yes, this is a little bit of a more challenging recipe than some of our other ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it says it takes almost an hour to make,
hmm
but it looks great.
Yeah.
And with this recipe, it's going to make 2 servings. And
hmm
yeah, not too hard. I remember going
No.
through here. More difficult, but for someone who's new, I think going back and watching this and pausing the video along the way, you can make it through this.
Yeah, definitely.
And one question before we get started. So this one has the apples in it, which are one of
hmm
my favorite things. This has become my
Yeah.
favorite thing is apples. Matter of fact, just earlier today, I bought a whole new bag of them. Could I also substitute those with like cherries?
Oh, yeah. Yes. So I will give you some background on why there's apples in this as opposed to some
Uh-huh.
other fruits. So apples, they're a South Tyrolean specialty. So actually, like most of the apples in Europe that you find year round, they're from our little region in Italy where our company's from. So they chew apple everything, and that's why they chose apples. But you can definitely substitute another fruit. I think cherry sounds great. I think, in the summer, peaches might be good. Um,
Ooh.
there's all kinds of things you could try, but yeah, that's why we have apples here. It's just from the region our company's from.
See, there even more variety, which is
hmm
great. And I've gotten to where I love cherries. First
Yep.
of all, I had some gout a long time ago when my kidneys were really, really bad. And cherry's one of those things that got some ingredients in it that can help, with those gout flare-ups. So when I look
hmm
for desserts, when I do treat myself, I try to reach for cherries.
hmm
All right, here we go. So here's what we're going to use. Hey. Now this one we're
So yeah.
using 2 different Flavus products.
Yeah, and so the crostini, it's definitely recommended for texture, but if you just, if you've got some plain crackers, you can crush them up. You can make your own breadcrumbs by grinding up the bread. The crostini just works really well because it's basically just a dried out roll.
Yep.
And then, looking at these other ingredients, you'll see there's really not a lot of sugar. I mean, very, very little. Dessert spoons, those are tablespoons of um, granulated sugar, and then 1.5 teaspoons of powdered sugar. It's really not a lot. We're really relying on the natural sweetness from the fruit, and then we have the lemon, which enhances the flavor without additional sugar. So that's a really good benefit. And then cinnamon. The cinnamon is, cinnamon's delicious, but it's also really healthy for you. It has a lot of antioxidants and anti-inflammatory effects. It can help with blood pressure and blood sugar, and it can also help with digestion. So, love the use of cinnamon in this recipe. Um, I'm sure if you had a different fruit, you might want to change the I mean, cinnamon would work well with cherries, but if you're using peaches, maybe you'd want to switch it out. So feel free to play around with it, but cinnamon's a great spice to use.
Yeah, and I love the dates in there. Gives a
Yep.
little bit more sweetness.
Natural sugars from the dates, yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, so
Hmm.
not too many ingredients. Easy to get them all
Yep.
set up in the kitchen.
Hmm.
All right, our first step. What are we doing
All
here?
right. Well, this is a food processor. So we're putting the flour mix in the food processor and then the butter.
A little tiny pinch of salt, which isn't
Yep,
very
and some
much.
water. Yep, and you just mix it together to get that crumbly. You want it to be, well, you'll see in the video. You want it to be crumbly. Yeah,
Oh, you know what that looks like? It looks like cookie dough.
it
Getting ready
does.
to go in some ice cream. Okay, those are
Yeah.
back in my bad diet days. Just what that looks like, the cookie dough.
Yep.
And we're going to pour that into a bowl.
Yep. And then you just kind of bring it together because this is going to be your dough. So it doesn't look like a lot, but it gets you a good amount.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and so this refrigeration step is really important for making the dough something that you can actually use for a strudel. So it gets you the right texture, it chills it so you can roll it out.
So if we rolled it now, it might break or something.
It would be really crumbly. Yeah.
Well, see,
All right.
I'm learning these little tips here. I did not know
Yeah.
that because I'm still new to cooking.
All right. So yeah, just 3 crostini, not a lot.
And
So yeah, if you needed to substitute that, you definitely could. Just these are nice because you don't have to worry, they're already low sodium and all that.
yeah, and I love those crostinis. Um, Even though it's just kind of like a toasted bread, there were so many things I could put on them, or
Yep,
even use them dipping in hummus, and great for snacking around the house throughout the day.
definitely.
Here's our
All right,
apple.
so our apples from Italy. And you're peeling them here, which, you know, I always say, the skin is where the fiber is. So if you
Mhm.
want to keep the skin on, I you can. Sometimes people don't like how that affects the texture on the inside, but I think in a recipe like this, feel free to experiment with keeping the skin on. I will tell you, I usually keep the skin on for everything to get that extra fiber.
Yeah, I love apples. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, same.
I'm gonna have to try this one now that summer's kind of here.
Yep. Well, and with this one, because you have the video with the step-by-step instructions, it's simpler.
Oh, I have problems with instructions. I love following the videos. So, for example, the instructions they probably say, and I don't know, peel the apple, slice it,
Into
and
1 inch cubes. Yeah.
yeah. So I have no clue what that is. I
Yeah.
see this. I'll point it over. I see this, and I know what
Yep.
it is. Okay, I can cut them up like that. Now we do
Yeah.
have a question someone popped
Hmm.
in earlier. So earlier we showed adding some butter. I'm
Hmm.
assuming that's unsalted butter, just regular
Yes.
unsalted.
Yes.
Yeah.
I typically will recommend unsalted butter just because if you're going to be flavoring something, you usually don't need it. So yeah, salted butter, you don't want it for this.
Yep, very good. We have someone, I think they're probably new to the channel. They're saying, butter's allowed? Yeah, butter's allowed.
Yeah, butter's
You
allowed.
just don't get too much. Don't be
Yeah.
going to the fair and buying a deep fried stick of butter. And for those in other countries, that is real. Here in the United States.
Hurts my
Don't be-
dietitian heart.
I know. Don't be eating too much. So a lot of foods you may think, hey, I can't have avocado. I can't have banana. I can't have tomatoes. Yeah, you can. You just can't have too much of those things. And the amount you can have is going to depend on each of us, our health, our labs, our activity level. And that's where a dietitian can help you figure out how much you can fit into your diet.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
here we're adding our lemons. I think my wife does this
Lemon
to
juice.
my kids' apples so they don't darken.
Yes, that is a great trick, actually. So yeah, here's your tablespoon of sugar. You're just kind of bringing the water out of the apples a little bit. So you're melting a little more butter. And again, it looks like it's kind of a lot, but it's not. It's really not. And then you're gonna just heat the apples to cook them.
Oh, let me tell you something. I bet you the house would smell so good, especially once you add the cinnamon.
Yep. Yep. Here, so now you're trying to get that nice browning on the apples. That does smell so good when you do that.
Yeah, when I go into Arby's and they've just made some new apple turnovers, and I haven't been to Arby's in a long time, guys. Don't be thinking, James, what are you doing at Arby's? But back in the day, I would walk into Arby's, and if I smelled those apple turnovers, oh my goodness, I could not help myself. And they were only $1 each, so you could, back in the day, 2, 3, 4. You could eat a lot of it, which wasn't good for you.
Definitely.
But it just smelled so good. All right, we're putting our apples in our bowl.
Yeah, so that's a really easy, quick. I like to add apples like that, to my
There's
oatmeal
the
too.
cinnamon.
Oh yeah, cinnamon and the dates. The dates
I'll
are
tell you,
just chopped up.
Yep. And cinnamon is one of those, it's an amazing, it's a spice, right?
It's a spice, yeah.
Cinnamon, I didn't use it too much before getting diagnosed with kidney disease. But after getting diagnosed, reading about all the benefits of cinnamon, the antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, I started experimenting with it in different foods. And, a few of you people who have been regulars to Dadvice TV know, I add a little bit of cinnamon into my scrambled eggs. If I'm making up some eggs in the morning, I'll scramble up some eggs, put just a little dab of cream cheese and some cinnamon. It tastes like I'm eating a dessert. Cinnamon is just amazing.
A lot of people like it in coffee too, and I think that's a really good way to add it. It gives your coffee a little something different. I don't know. I've had it. It's good.
Yeah, I've had a pumpkin spice latte a long time ago. Yeah, so I've actually had cinnamon in a warm drink.
Yeah.
All right, we got our refrigerated dough.
Yeah, so now it should be much more usable. It's on parchment paper, so it doesn't stick.
And
then
for
you just
anyone
roll it
looking
out.
for the detailed instructions, these are available on the flavis.com website, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And while we're watching
Yeah,
that, for you
so
guys who don't know how to spell Flavis, Flavis, right there it is. There's lots of recipes on their website.
Yeah, we have so many.
All right, we got it there.
Yep, and you're just kind of like making the ends a little nice, putting the crostini. This is going to give you a crunchy texture, and it'll also help thicken the apple mixture when it's cooking.
I could do this with my kids. They would love making this with me.
Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
always looking for projects to help them or let them help and teach them something. Some
I know, and
healthier
kids like
eating.
baking.
Yes. It's like magic.
Yep. And then this is where you've got to be. This is why the wax paper is good, because it helps you fold it.
Oh, yes.
So, because it's really hard to lift something and fold it. So you'll see she's going super slow, but using that paper to help fold the strudel together is like crucial.
Boy, that looks like when I used to go to Chipotle and I'd get my burritos made.
Yeah.
They could barely close them.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, look at how easy that is. So then you just take like a, that's just water in there. She's just sealing it up and close it. See how slow she's going, but that using that paper really makes a big difference.
Now, why do we put water on it before we close it up on those ends? Does it help them stick or something?
It just helps the dough be stickier. Dough be stickier. So this is a gluten-free mix, which is really just because everything our company does is gluten-free. We are a dedicated gluten-free company, so
Hmm.
gluten is not something that people with kidney disease need to worry about. But because of that, the doughs that we make sometimes you have to do some things to them to make them the right texture.
Aha. Oh, that already looks
All
so
right.
good.
Yep. You're just putting it in the baking dish.
I'm getting some ideas that are not kidney friendly in my mind, like, oh, some caramel on top of that once it comes out.
Oh, I don't know if you'll need it, honestly. So milk has fat in it, so that's why
Mhm.
it'll brown if you put some on. So it's similar to like if you did an egg wash, which that wouldn't be a bad idea either, but the milk is nice because it gives it a little sweetness.
Oh, there it comes out.
Yep, there it is.
Ta-da! Oh, there we go.
Yep,
A little bit of sprinkled
little
powdered
powdered
sugar.
sugar.
Oh, yeah. See,
Kind of
these are the
looks like a
shots that get you to
Pop-Tart.
go like, ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I know.
Oh, my goodness. Let me back up a little bit. Get it. There we go. Look at that. Oh, delicious. And so, we've got apples, so we're adding some fiber.
hmm
Do you happen to know the nutritional data for a serving of
So
this?
I I don't actually. I think I have to look on the website. It's definitely on there though. Um,
Because
it's
we're not adding potassium.
yeah.
Yeah, so it'll
It's
be a
gonna be
low
low.
potassium.
It'll be low potassium, and then it's gonna be a decent amount of fiber because of the apples.
Yep.
And so and based on, sorry, I'm quickly doing this in my
Oh,
head,
that's
but I
okay.
based on the fact that the mix is like a gram of, I would say this is probably a good 4 grams of fiber with the dates and for a dessert, that's pretty decent.
Oh, hey, any fiber in a dessert is great.
Yeah, I mean, there's really, other than that little bit of milk you saw, like there's
Mhm.
really no protein in it. So that's just like very little. So I would say for sugar, it's a little bit harder because I don't have it pulled up right now, but I would say it's definitely going to be under so the recommendation for sugar is that you added sugar, you don't want it to be more than 10% of your calories per day. And I always say per meal you or snack or whatever, you don't want to be exceeding a quarter of those needs. So in a 2000 calorie diet, that would be 20 grams of added sugar per day as your maximum. And I would say you want to be under 5 definitely per serving. So this should be under that because the only added sugar is
Wow.
just those 2 tablespoons and that little bit of powdered sugar on top.
Yeah, that's the only concern I really had was the sugar. So even someone who's diabetic and needs to
hmm
keep a close eye on their sugar, they can fit a dessert like this, make it into their diet without, worrying the world's going to end. It's not like
hmm
some things you get. And I saw something earlier today. I can't remember what it was, but it was like 32 grams of sugar. And I was like, what? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. Well, and also keep in mind this is 2 servings.
Hmm.
So it 2 tablespoons of sugar is about um it's like roughly 12 grams of sugar. So um that it and that can vary too depending on how you measure. So maybe we're
Hmm.
talking, call it 10. I mean, really that's all there is in the whole thing, the whole recipe. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, that is great. And I would love to make something like this with the apples. I love the idea of cherries.
hmm
I buy the cherries frozen because it's much cheaper and it's
Yes.
available all year round here. And oh, they're delicious. So what I do, because sometimes I'll make my little cherry dessert, I will blend a few of them
Mhm.
in a small little blender, and then I'll throw in a few more whole cherries, and I mix it up, and I might throw in a little bit of whipped cream, and boom, I got me a little dessert. But I could do that for the inside minus the whipped
Yep.
cream.
Yeah, and cherries, I think cherries are a great option, and pretty much with any fruit, you just kind of have to cook it on the skillet in the same way these apples are being cooked. So, just watch them because they're all going to have different cook times, and you don't want to burn them. But pretty
Yep.
much it should be the same.
Wow. So that is absolutely delicious. What do you guys out there think? We walked through this. It really wasn't that hard.
Yeah.
The time, it's under an hour, but that includes cooking this, when you're putting in the oven, browning it. There's not a whole lot of real prep that you got to do with this. Nothing complicated. It's not like you got to, the slicing was very simple. I'm really bad with a knife. I could cut those things. But when and I'm pointing the wrong way. Next time I got to move our videos to the other side of the screen.
Yeah.
Swap them.
I
Because
know,
when I
I
look
keep
at
doing
the
the same
screen,
thing.
when I look at the picture, I'm looking away from it. But if it's chopping something up real thin, I'm awful at that. Just because I haven't practiced and done it enough. But wow, that absolutely is great. Any other substitutions? Any other substitutions you could think of that someone might want to make? Not that much sugar, so you really don't. It's not something where you got to worry about. Hey, I gotta replace that sugar. What can I use?
So this is where I think there's a lot to think about with like what's seasonal in your
Mhm.
area because I think that's always going to taste the best. So I'm from the Northeast and I think, we have a lot of in the fall apples and pears. That sounds great. In the winter, we still have a lot of those things too. Um in the summer we have all the berries. I think all of the berries could be good. We have cherries, we have peaches. Those are all awesome. Um, Something you could try, and I don't know, I could see like a roasted vegetable mixture with this. If you cut the sugar out of the filling, I mean, this could be a savory option. You would just have to play around with the filling. I mean, and you don't have to add the sugar on top. So if you want to get crazy, maybe try doing it with some vegetables. I think in the springtime, like I could see, an asparagus potato maybe.
Oh, asparagus, great.
Yeah, Brussels
Yeah, in a
sprouts
way,
could
we're
be
kind of like
nice.
making. In a way, it's like a giant hot pocket
Yeah.
filled with cinnamon apple goodness. So yeah, maybe some vegetables in there, and I love the idea of mixed berries.
Yeah, mixed berries would be
Blueberries,
great.
raspberries, blueberries, all that stuff in there. Oh,
Yeah, I think any fruit would go. The thing is with berries is they're really naturally sweet on their own, so you probably could even reduce the sugar even more. I would encourage you to experiment and play around with that because I think every fruit is different. Like with cherries, you probably need the sugar because they're a little bit tart, but
yeah,
But I think with like a blueberry, strawberry, raspberry, whatever mixture, you probably wouldn't.
yeah. Oh my goodness. Okay, so sometime this summer, I'm gonna make this. I
Uh-huh.
think I think I'm gonna do it with. I'm gonna do it like it is because apple cinnamon just sounds absolutely great. And I'm gonna do a berry mixture, and I'll take pictures and I'll post them on the Dadvice TV Facebook page of my success or close to success with it. The recipe, I feel comfortable doing this one, even though this is considered a medium recipe. I feel comfortable that I could do this. I feel comfortable I could do it with my kids, and we could make these.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's the point, cooking shouldn't have to be so complicated. You can make really delicious things with not a lot of work. And for the most part, I think the benefit of Flavis products is that they're just tools you can use in your everyday cooking. So you just, if you see something that calls like people have made bread pudding with the Flavis breads, which just helps a little bit. And then again, that's a treat for sure, but you can use the bread and then you don't have to worry about the protein, sodium, potassium, phosphorus content of that. We've had a lot of people make like different, I don't know, like different croutons and fun soups that include the breads as a base, because a lot of people like thicker soups and you can thicken them with bread. So there's just, think about Flavis foods as tools you can use in your everyday cooking. And when you see something like a grain or a bread, substituting that, it's makes things a lot easier. So you don't have to worry about what you're buying at the store, reading all the labels and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I like the idea if I want a little bit of salt, I'll add
Mhm.
it myself instead
Yes.
of it being in a bunch of it in all the products, because you can't take it out. You can put it in,
Right.
but you can't take it out. And for those that are new, who haven't seen any of our past videos about Flavus products, I mean, we talked a lot about bread today, the bread mix, the crostinis. You guys also have a pizza dough. You have lots of different
Mhm.
pastas, cookies,
Yep, we
all,
have cookies.
yeah. And they're the kind of cookies that I absolutely love. They're not the ones that are, there. Some people like the ones that are like undercooked feeling. I like
Mhm.
crispy ones. I like the ones that are like Chips Ahoy. Like when I grew up, that crunchy. And that's what your cookies are very similar to in texture for me. Chips Ahoy. I can dip them in something if I want. Don't know what I would dip them in that's healthy. Back in the
Well,
day, I Chips Ahoy and Cool Whip. Oh my goodness, I was in heaven.
a little bit of milk or alternative milk or. We have a lot of recipes using all of those. So the cookies too, like we have recipes for not even using them as cookies. We make use them as bases. And all of the recipes on the website were designed by dietitians and not me. They're designed by other dietitians because we really wanted them to be, coming from people who are working with kidney patients in their everyday world, and these are what they're recommending. So most of the recipes on flavus.com are designed by an awesome dietitian named Brittany Sparks, who specializes in kidney disease and developing food for people with kidney disease. So um, yeah, I think that's also really important, is that we're working with other people to make sure what we're recommending also aligns with what the healthcare community is recommending.
Yeah. And one of the things I really like about Flavus is you guys are open to feedback for
Yes.
ideas of, hey, what's the community out there looking for? And I'll tell you, I I call companies like it's nothing, like they're my neighbor or something. I have no problem going, hey, let me find this company's, corporate people. I'm going to reach out to them and ask them a question. Procter and Gamble, walking distance practically from my house. Can't get a hold of them, though I keep trying to. I want to talk to them. But you guys, uh, you're open to talking to people with ideas, the recipes. Is there anything new that you can share? And I'm not, everyone out there, I'm not like teeing her up for something. I'm just asking this out of the blue. Because I know in the past we've had some people recommend different things like more diabetic friendly foods, which this one, in my opinion, kind of falls in that category.
Mhm. Yeah, so I mean, there is nothing that I can say at this moment, but we do have a lot more products in Europe, so trying to figure out what we can start to bring over for the US audience is like kind of where we're at right now. So if you, I don't know, if you could look at the Flavus website, like the Italian website, you might see some things that we could be trying to bring over soon. Yeah, they have some really interesting stuff over there. So as our audience grows, we can continue to bring more things over. And if there's a recipe type of, of thing you're requesting, if you really want to know how to make, whatever it is, I can maybe try to find out if we can do that. I do have a large database of recipes that is not on our website, so there's a chance I have something similar. Um,
Very good. And every month you're going to be back here. We're going to be sharing
yeah.
another great recipe to get people thinking of, hey, that looks great. Here's a way to use, these products and make it kidney friendly. And kind of the big takeaway is probably that, yeah, you can eat this. You can have this. It's not a no, no, no. We're going to make things that you can fit into your renal diet. Sometimes as an occasional treat, like what today's
hmm
was. Actually, it's
Yeah,
easy to fit
and
that
that's
one in.
important. I think everybody needs to have their delicious treats. I mean, a diet cannot be something, a diet, I don't like to think about a diet as like all the things you can't eat. Like your diet is what
Mhm.
you eat every day. So it has to be made of things you enjoy. And that's really the goal here. Teach you things that fit within your specific dietary guidelines, but also hopefully tasting good. So you're not thinking about a diet as restrictive.
Yeah, and for those of you that are out there new, and I see we have some new people today, most kidney patients, when you first get diagnosed, you're kind of told avoid, 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 or at least that's what it comes across
Yes.
as avoid sodium, avoid potassium, avoid phosphorus, protein. Maybe they go even further, sugar, things like that. It's not really avoid. It's, I would say, manage. Working with a renal dietitian or even just a regular dietitian, they don't have to specialize in kidney disease. They can kind of give you allowances. That's the way I like to think of it. Here's how much potassium you need. Don't go over this amount. Here's how much sodium you need. Don't go over this amount. And then you get to make up recipes and eat foods that consume that allowance. And you just try to get all your meals in there, hit your minimums, but don't exceed any of your maximums. And when you make the food yourself, you get to control those nutrients going in there. You go to the store. My wife did this on Sunday. She bought some hamburgers, some pre-made patties, and she brought them home and said, hey, I'm going to make these up for myself and the kids. And I looked at them. Each patty, no bread, no nothing, 1460 milligrams of sodium. For me, that's almost a full day's sodium in a patty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
The processed food is just loaded with so much stuff that kidney patients need to be a bit more careful and aware of. But when you're making the food yourself, using a simple recipe similar to what we saw today, and there's even easier ones, like the pancake one was super easy. I've done that one many times. You then get to control the stuff. And you get to eat so much more to get you full because it's not loaded with all those extra things that pretty much limit your portion size to being really, really small. Someone asked, can you make biscuits with the Flavis flour?
Yes, so I have never done that, but I would imagine it's just an easy swap of what the flour recipe would be, like what the recipe would say the flour content should be. Um, you'd have to test that one and let me know because, biscuits are not really something like our biscuits are not something the Italians eat, so they are not
Oh,
necessarily thinking about that in the
here in
recipe
Ohio,
development process.
biscuits are great, especially
I
buttermilk
know.
biscuits, biscuits and gravy, biscuits and anything.
Yeah, to them, biscuits are cookies. But I think we do have a recipe for rolls on the website. And so I think if you just kind of modified a biscuit recipe and considered what you see in the rolls recipe, but I should ask them to make an American biscuit
Ooh,
recipe.
Sal
That'd
has a
be so
great
good.
a great recommendation, and I think you
Yeah,
could
it's a good
do this.
idea.
Onion rings, because onion,
Onion
first of all,
rings.
is not
Yeah.
bad. You slice it up.
Okay,
Crostinis
onion
for
rings,
the texture.
I think, yes. So I would recommend for onion rings the crostinis. I would grind them up in the food processor. You'd need to do something to make it stick, so you'd probably have to dip it in the egg. But I also, if you have an air fryer, I think the onion rings would be super easy to do in the air fryer with the crostini.
Oh, Sal, that is a great idea. I love
Yeah.
onion rings, especially the big ones. Like, you go someplace that actually
Hmm.
makes them, not Burger King or any of that where it came out of a bag and they bought it in bulk, but some homemade onion rings. Wow, I didn't
Yeah.
even think about it. But that's just another example of one of the things that makes these types of products great for those with kidney disease is the multiple uses
Hmm.
of them, and you're not worried about a whole bunch of extra sodium, potassium, phosphorus, protein being added. Wow.
Absolutely.
All right, let's see if
Yeah.
anyone has any last questions. I did not eat dinner before this.
I didn't either. I need to.
I'm so bad. My work goes until 5 o'clock, so there's just an hour before we go
Yeah.
live. So I don't eat. I brush my teeth. I shave.
I saw someone comment that they need to work with a dietitian, and if you need help with that, we do have a dietitian finder on our website,
Oh,
and it has a lot of people who I've vetted that they work in kidney disease, and so a lot of them are, seeing clients virtually right now, so it's possible that you might be able to see someone a little further away. So definitely check that out. There's some awesome resources on there, and if there's not one near you or you have trouble, you can contact the Flavis customer service, and I'll try to find one for you. I do that a lot. I'm always trying to connect people with dietitians because I think it's so important. So
oh,
just
go ahead.
if you, yeah, so it's the dietitian finder on flavis.com.
Yeah, and I
You'll
was
see
gonna
it right
say,
on the top.
after being diagnosed with kidney disease, there's a roller coaster of emotions and worries that the tsunami of it. Um, but the single best thing I ever did was working with a dietitian. And I learned so much about what my body does with the foods I eat, what it needs, what it doesn't need. And I encourage everyone to work with dietitians. Remember, they are the superhero that's kind of stuck in the shadows because the doctors, a lot of them are hesitant to recommend a dietitian. And I love having dietitians here on Dadvice TV because it kind of brings a bit of a spotlight. And more spotlights need to be shined on dietitians because you know what we eat is the building blocks. It is the fuel. It's everything that goes into our body, except for like some D from the sun and stuff. We need, with kidney disease, we're a bit more sensitive to those things. And it's just absolutely amazing how much of an impact diet and lifestyle changes can make to improve your quality of life. So that's my
Yeah.
soapbox thing.
Yeah, definitely. And keep in mind, doctors have their own specialties, but their specialty is not nutrition, and they really don't learn a lot about nutrition in school. A lot of them have taken the steps to learn it, but a dietitian, that's all we studied. So
Mhm.
well, in addition to, we had to do all the chemistry and all the basic requirements, but with a nutrition focus in mind. So we do have that deeper knowledge that your doctor just may not have because they didn't have that foundation in school. They were focused on other things. It's not a knock on doctors, but
Yeah, and it's the
it's,
same thing as, you go to your family doctor. If your kidney's really bad, they send you to a specialist, a nephrologist. When it comes to diet and the food we eat, the
Mhm.
specialist is a dietitian.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so that will bring us to the end of today's show. We looked at a great recipe, apple and cinnamon strudel. Not that difficult to make. Um, Easy to make this and fit it into your renal diet. It's a snack, or it's a dessert. It's not a snack. It's a dessert. You don't go crazy. You can't be eating four of these. Um, your waist is going to get too big. Your A1C is going to go up. Well, actually, I don't know about your A1C. There's not that much sugar in here. But this is a great example of something great you can make with two of the Flavus products, the bread mix and the Crostini. Oh, wait, there was one question here from Patricia. I wanted to see if you knew. She says her Italian neighbors, hey, awesome, said you can use sugar to take some of the acidity from tomatoes. Do you know if that's true?
Yeah, so that'll neutralize the acid in tomatoes for sure. That's why they use it in a lot of tomato sauces. Um, if you're gonna add sugar to tomatoes, I would probably recommend you're just doing a very, very little bit. Like I would just start with a teaspoon. That's it. And I think that's gonna taste. If you're making tomato sauce, it's always better homemade. And
Oh,
watch out for the
yeah.
sugar in the store-bought ones because there's usually a lot, unfortunately. So yeah, I love that idea. And if your Italian neighbors can show you how they make sauce, I would go over for dinner.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. And and like just before COVID hit, my wife and I were going to go and take some Indian classes to make some Indian food. When you go to um, like if you want Italian food, find some Italians to show you how to make it. It's gonna be far better than what you buy in the store in a jar or a can or the box. It's already all processed and made. Making it homemade just tastes so much better. Sal says his
Yeah.
mom always added sugar to pasta.
Oh, haven't heard that one, but definitely I've heard of adding salt to the pasta water. And for a kidney patient, I actually don't think there's a huge problem there because you're only usually adding a pinch, and it does help with the flavor of your pasta. But and it's not all going to be absorbed
Yeah, you're
necessarily.
pouring out
So
most of that water.
yeah, yeah. I've never heard of sugar though. Sweet pasta, interesting.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thank you, Megan, for being here and sharing another great recipe. Let me bring your website up here. If anybody wants to learn more about Flavus, there's our website right there on the screen, flavus.com. If you go to go.dadvicetv.com/food, that will take you right to their catalog of all their products so you can see what all's there and enjoy, shopping, finding some good stuff there. I'm gonna make this not very soon because I got a busy next few weeks. Oh, Melinda says she uses monk fruit. Is that okay?
Oh,
She got got a
yeah.
question right in.
Yeah, monk fruit, that's a non-nutrient, we call them non-nutritive sweeteners, 0-calorie sweeteners. So, yeah, it's a pretty natural one. So I say monk fruit is one of the preferred options if you're going to go that route.
Oh, great. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I will be back here tomorrow night with Jen Hernandez. And then again later this week on Thursday, we're going to be talking about caretakers and caretaker burnout, how to avoid that. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.